How did you come across this issue of how effective AI audio models not just are, but are in different languages?
Definitely. So, in recent months, I've been writing a lot about the kind of rise of audio AI models and how there's really been the shift towards AI that's able to kind of listen and talk to humans the way that we do with each other. And especially, with a recent story from last week about OpenAI's device efforts, which are going to be audio first, meaning that people will be talking to the device and it will be talking back to them. You would imagine that these companies want these sorts of devices to be used by people around the world, meaning that they have to, understand and speak all sorts of different dialects and languages. And then, the more I talked with researchers, the more that they told me, there's already this gap between Western and kind of non-Western languages with text-based models, but that gap is even bigger with audio models.
And what are the core reasons here as to why the audio models are not as good in non-English languages?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it really just boils down to the fact that there just isn't that much training data there, especially audio data. So, in order to train these models, in the best way possible, you basically need data of people of different ages, genders, speaking about a variety of topics. So, everything from, customer support to medicine, and you need that in all sorts of languages. And so that type of data doesn't really occur naturally, and so companies would kind of have to go out of their way to collect that sort of data, which is obviously very difficult for them to do.
You focused on OpenAI in your column. I'm sure there are other companies that are working on the exact same thing and have the same issues. But I mean, if we just stick with OpenAI for the moment, tell us about their expansion plans outside of North America, how important those international markets are for them.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, the column kind of focused on OpenAI, but we can imagine that this is going to be a big deal for any sort of AI company that wants to have a global reach. So companies like Google and Meta, for instance. But with OpenAI specifically, we saw Sam Altman say in the last month that the company has 100 million weekly active users of ChatGPT in India alone. And so that's, more than a tenth of all the people that are using ChatGPT on a weekly basis around the world that's located in India. And, many transactions there are being handled over the phone or by people speaking out loud to each other, which means that in order to kind of meet that kind of natural way that people there do their work, OpenAI is going to have to meet that with their models and ChatGPT, and it's going to have to teach ChatGPT how to speak out loud. And so expanding to these regions are very important for OpenAI because, as my colleague Shri and I reported in a story last week, in recent months, basically since the release of GPT-5, OpenAI has seen a slowdown in ChatGPT usage. And so, there's only so much that they can do in the US. So they're really going to need to expand to other areas around the world in order to keep that ChatGPT growth going.
So basically, what I hear you saying is that it's not just important for the growth element of the story. I mean, it's also important to be able to accommodate different behaviors and the way different people use AI because not everyone is texting everyone anywhere, and sounds like people are using voice a lot more in Asia and other continents.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is this element of kind of like meeting the users where they are and kind of matching, yeah, just these different cultural preferences around the world and the ways that people want to work and kind of communicate with each other, whether that's through, text or speaking out loud.
Now you're starting to sound like a product person, Stephanie. Here you've really been studying up on the user journey, as they call it. I like it. Okay, before we let you go, you talked a little bit in the column about the startups that are trying to tackle this issue and the opportunity that stands there. Who should we be watching, and who are you talking to?
So I'd imagine that, all these data labeling firms are starting to expand into audio data. But, one startup that's kind of early and up and coming that I focus on for the piece is called Poseidon AI. So this company basically has an app where, any sort of user around the world can upload audio files of them, basically reading out loud different transcripts on different topics like customer service or law. But this is very difficult for Poseidon and other startups trying to do this to do very well because you can imagine that they need special technology to make sure that people are, actually following the script correctly, not going off script or speaking a different language than what they're supposed to. So that requires these startups to build their own kind of proprietary technology in order to make sure that the audio data is of the highest quality possible.
Great. Well, Stephanie, I want to thank you for coming on. That is Stephanie Palazzolo, our AI reporter here at The Information.